Okay, let's get on to your first real assignment, making your first page. So, this is the handout which is available on Moodle about the background you need and then the actual assignment that's due. First, I want to talk to you about how important it is to keep yourself organized in this class. Where files are, what they're called, what folders are named, all that stuff is critical. You will also have to learn right away how to zip a folder. Ideally, using the system that I'm going to suggest to you, especially if you're working in Windows. Almost every assignment, let's just say every assignment, will have to be a zipped file. In the beginning, it'll be a little silly because you'll be zipping single files or folders with only one thing in it. But later, it makes a lot more sense because you have to submit a folder of several files, and zipping it is the only way to do it. Okay, so naming files. I want you to read page 53 in your book. There's good information there. There's a little sidebar there about naming files. For our class, in addition to the instructions there, I want you to use this convention. All files and folders must follow these rules. Lowercase, no spaces, hyphens. Use hyphens and underscores instead of spaces to indicate the space. No special characters. So, no capitalization, no spaces. That's the key thing. No special characters. In addition, with the exception of a few statements that should be uppercase, and you will be told which ones, doc type is an example, all HTML and CSS must also be lowercase for this class. Will it work as uppercase? Generally, yes, but as a general rule, folder names, file names, and all HTML and CSS is all lowercase. There's a couple commands that must be uppercase. You will learn about those. And they're written in your book that way already. Finally, this sidebar mentions making sure your files have the proper suffixes. This can be a problem with some of the modern Windows operating systems. Out of the box, sometimes, the suffixes are hidden. Suffixes, that means like .html, .css, .jpg, .tiff, even things like .doc, all the dot something. I guess Windows thinks it's making your life easier by hiding these from you, but it absolutely does not. You need to see that stuff. You're probably working on your own computer, your own laptop or something. So if you're working in my lab, I would be tell you that, hey, this change has already been made, but you have to make it to your own computer. If you're working Windows 7, here are some instructions. If you're working Windows 8, you'll have to Google the instructions and find them. The key thing is to find where appearance and personalization is there. Is find folder options, and then if hide extensions has been checked on, you need it unchecked. You need to see the extensions. I call them suffixes. Windows calls them extensions. And in the Mac, if you don't see them in your Finder, this would be, by the way, in the Windows, this would be seeing them in the My Computer window, or what some people call the Window Explorer. And if you want a shortcut for that, hold the Window key down and hit the E. This is what I mean. Here, if I'm going to go to my C drive and go to my desktop and find files and look in my folder, all of a sudden I see .doc, .pdf. In the videos, I see .mp4 and so on. If I didn't see those extensions, I would know there was a problem. If I'm in a folder and I don't see .pdf, I don't see so on and so forth, then I know there's a problem. And that's where you have to go and find a way to make those suffixes or extensions show up. Okay, continuing along. I'll leave you to figure that out yourself, your own operating system. These instructions here work for Windows 7. Your first page assignment. Okay, this is due at 10 p.m. Tuesday. You should definitely read chapter 4 before you do this. You need some basic things there. All I'm going to ask you to do is to make a simple page, but let's start with some other explanation. First, you need to be able to use Notepad++. I have it open. You need to, at this point, you definitely need to have it installed. You're going to go File, New, for a new file. One of the key things when you make a new file is you have to tell it what language are you using. So I'm going to use HTML. You see there are lots of other choices. So many choices. So many of them are different programming languages. So on and so forth. But we're using HTML, so we choose HTML. That means that and we could have typed anyway. And if you ever type HTML and then only then later choose a language, that's fine. You haven't lost any work. But the key idea is that you want to make sure to have a tell it at some point what the language is so it can keep track of the file for you. At the same time, I want a place to put this. I'm going to suggest that you make a folder called, I'm going to go to my drive. You may work off a drive in this class is fine. I'm going to be working in a folder which I'm going to make called, so right click new to make a new folder. You should definitely know that. Use Window E to bring up my computer as a shortcut if you're using this version of Windows. I'm going to make mine Summer 317. And within there, I'm going to say, make something called first page. Remember, all lowercase, no spaces. This is important right at the very beginning. First page. And this is where I'm going to save this first page. So how do we start a first page? You need to learn, and should learn by heart, the basic HTML structure. You would find this in your text on page 56. The first thing we do is, this is one of the only commands which must be in uppercase, is the doc type. How do we tell it to use HTML5? This is the command. Doc type, then it's HTML, lowercase. What are these more than and less than signs? Some people call them carets, open and close tags, different words. I like to call them open and close carets. Almost all HTML commands are surrounded by these. Some HTML commands are single piece, one-part commands like doc type, and many, though, are two-part commands. You open and close them, open and close them. You'll see that in a minute. Okay, so I'll put in, I have to tell it to use HTML. But the HTML is about to begin. And also, I like to put in these two-part codes at the same time. And I'm going to tell it the HTML is going to close. That way I haven't forgotten the closing tag. HTML is a two-part tag. I also, in Notepad++, I get this nice confirmation when it senses that the code is connected and closed properly. How did I close it? I closed it with that slash. And that's the slash that's right down on the right by your Shift key. Make sure you use the slash, it goes the right way. And you'll get that feedback from Notepad++ that you've done it correctly. Now I'm going to make the head. Now, I'm going to tab this. Sometimes in my demonstrations, I don't do a very good job of showing proper tabbing, but it's really important to keep yourself organized. On these simple pages, it shouldn't really matter, but here you want to keep organized in general, to say what things are indented, what things are subsets of what. So my head is going to open, and then I'm going to put another tab key, and I'll say meta char set, no space, equals. Then we see an equal sign, we get a quotation marks, UTF-8. Good. That just says use normal characters. Now we have a title. You might think that the title, I open and close the title, is like going to show up on the page. It is not. It is the name of the page. It shows up on the browser tab. And I'm going to put my title here is Jack's welcome page. You may do whatever you wish. Probably some version of that. And I'm going to put another tab. I'm going to close my head. Okay, I get the confirmation that it's closed. That's all that has to be in the head. You'll see in many pages, there's lots of other things in the head too. Keywords and links to style sheets and so on. Let's open the body. The body is what you really see on the web page. Whoops. Open body. Go down here a ways. I'm going to close my body. So that's the body. So far, what would this page look like? It would look like nothing. There's nothing to display. The body is empty. Let's go ahead and put something in the body. What we put in here, it has to have some structure. We're going to put in a heading and a paragraph. Let's make it, the headings always go in order. There's 6 headings, H1 through H6. And we always start with heading 1, H1. And we're going to close the H1. And what can go in here? Let's say hello world, which everybody should always type on their first web page. And you can spell it correctly if you wish, yes. And I'm going to have a paragraph. I could indent this paragraph too. It's sort of a subset of each one. And I'm going to close my paragraph. Very good. What goes in here? I'll just say, this is my first web page. That is the extent of my page, and let me save it. Oops, and I hadn't saved it all yet, which was kind of dangerous. It wants to put the HTML on afterwards, the suffix on by itself, the extension. Now that is fine. I will call this welcome. Now, sure, why not? No, let's call it welcome to. Does I already have one someplace, I think? And I don't want to put this in Jen's Kitchen. I want to put this in the folder I made earlier, which is in my drive, in my computer drive. Summer 317, first page. There it goes. Good. What does this look like? Let's go ahead and run it. Hello world, this is my first web page. Straight HTML. You've made your first web page if you follow along with me. If you haven't, stop now and redo this. Make your first web page. Okay, let's continue. What about this assignment? Well, the assignment is, I want you to do the same thing, except I want you, instead of hello world, put your name in each one. Instead of this is my first web page, I want you to put some other text in here. I have a bunch of text already prepared. The text, what text would this be? This would be text about you. Okay? And I haven't actually finished typing it, I see now. I'm going to put mine inside this paragraph. I want you to put some of the text that you put in the little forum introduction, and more if you need it. I have 3 daughters, a sophomore Geneseo. That's how you spell Geneseo, I think. Graduating high school senior and 3rd grader. I like to hike, cross country, ski, and kayak. Okay, that's one big paragraph. How would that look? Let's see if I can run it. Guess what? It looks like one big paragraph. Not very interesting so far. Well, what if I just put some enters in here, right? Let's say I want to make a paragraph here. I'll just put some breaks there, right? And let's say I want to make a paragraph here. Like that. Okay, I got 3 paragraphs. Isn't that nice? I'll save it and run it. Guess what? It's still one big paragraph here. HTML doesn't care about enter characters. It doesn't care how the words appear here. It needs structure applied. Okay? Does it matter if I put a giant whole bunch of spaces in here? For some reason I want to push press public and over there. Does that work? No, it does not. It doesn't care about spaces either. What you have to do is give it structure. So how do we do that? We put paragraphs in. Paragraphs are what we call a block element that makes things appear on new lines. And then open and close a paragraph, /p. I'm going to close this paragraph. And I want to open and close this paragraph. That's 3 paragraphs now. I'll go ahead and run this. Did your paragraphs not work? Well, if it didn't work, chances are you forgot something or didn't type something properly. So this is what your first page is going to be. You're going to zip the folder that this page is in. Okay? My folder is in here. It's called first page. How do I zip? I do a right click, send to compressed zip folders. And I could put another name in here. I could say first page and downs. Just keep your last name on it. This is the file you upload to Moodle right here, the zip file. How is that icon going to look? It changes. It depends. But it should look something like this. This is the file I upload on Moodle. So between this video and the instructions on paper and your textbook, you should be able to complete this assignment now.